Hey, church family. So this is take two. We actually last week tried to start this video, but we're gonna do it today. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to give a little bit of a sermon recap, and then make sure that you know what's happening here at Point so you can get involved. Thanks to Melissa and to Davey who are helping us facilitate this so that you guys can stay informed. Especially, I know a lot of you are out of town right now, and so you got a little chance to catch up. We'll shoot these, we'll post them up, and then you guys can stay in the loop. We don't have anything major going on this week at Point, but we want to say thank you to those who came on Friday night. We got a chance to worship at Josh and Sarah's house. Just a reminder of like what God's doing among us as we're steeping in the grace of God, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And then next Monday, so not this Monday, but next Monday, which will follow July 4th weekend, we will have our next prayer gathering. So go ahead and mark your calendars now, because our prayer gatherings are a don't miss moment for us as a church family, because we're not only steeping in the grace of God, but we're learning how to pray and listen to God in those spaces. And so we want to make sure that you're here. That's 6:30 on Monday night. I think that's the 7th. Yep. Anyway, of July. So make sure you're here for that. Excited about that. Hope you have a great July 4th. We just wrapped up this morning's sermon and interaction. Spirit of joy, celebration, definitely present as we steeped in the grace of God. But Josh, why don't you give us a recap of the sermon?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, there were some people dancing today, which is pretty cool. That's new for us.
Some good dancers, some bad dancers.
Yeah, but it was good. We had a really fun Sunday. Today we looked at the first chapter of Jonah, and we walked through it basically to look at the grace of God to each of the different characters who are in that story. So you've got the grace of God to the Ninevites, these people who were evil, and God didn't just leave them to their evilness. He went towards them because he loves them, and it's an expression of his grace. We saw the grace of God to the sailors who were on the boat with Jonah and who cried out to the Lord and were saved as a result of their crying out to God. We saw the grace of God to Jonah, who had a second chance and then a third chance, even in the first chapter, to repent and to change his ways. God pursuing us even when we're turning our back and running away from him. And so we had a wonderful time just talking about the grace of God, and then thinking about what does that mean for us as a church. We've been on this journey where God is teaching us to steep in his grace. That means to just sit and rest, to bask in the grace of God, understanding that God's posture towards us is one of loving pursuit. And so that allows us to change our posture towards God, to receive that as his sons and his daughters, and also changes the way we respond and react to other people as well, learning to respond to them the same way that God responds to us, in loving pursuit. And so you can hear the full message online if you want to follow it, and we'll be continuing our series in the book of Jonah next week, looking at Jonah's prayer from inside the belly of the fish. So that should be a fun one. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and two things related to that. Number one, I thought that one of the powerful parts of the sermon was related to how we sometimes think about sin separating us from God, but that's actually not a full truth, because God doesn't turn his back on us when we sin. He actually comes after us when we sin, which I think is important to sort of note that. But the second thing is at the end of the sermon, we talked about, as a result of steeping in the grace of God, when we do sit with God and we let his grace and his posture toward us really permeate our souls, it changes the way that we live, and there's some indicators of that. And so in this link below, you're going to notice a list of things that elders kind of comprised. Josh did a good job of putting this together. So we want you to read through that and think about this. How would this look if we were these kind of people who believed that God was gracious toward us, okay? So that said, I just want to make sure that you had those before we wrap up. And hope you have a great week. We'll look forward to seeing you next Sunday.